Hello, dear students. Very warm welcome, everyone. Today, we're gonna continue the topic, chapter number 5, Legislature. Last time, we were discussing about the powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And today, we're gonna continue with the next topic, and that is special powers of the Rajya Sabha. Now, in this topic, the special powers which have been given by the Constitution to the Rajya Sabha, been told to you. Let us go through this. So, as we already know that Rajya Sabha is an institutional mechanism to provide representation to the states, and we have that bicameral legislature here. Its main purpose is to protect the powers of the states, to give the representation to the states. A separate house is made, and many powers have been given to the Rajya Sabha. Therefore, because like being the representative of the state, being kind of protector of the federalism, any matter that affects the states must be referred to it for its consent and approval. So the matters which affect the federalism, the matters which affect the states, if this kind of bill is brought in the parliament, it must go to the Rajya Sabha for its consent and for its approval. Voting also will be done there. Thus, if the Union Parliament wishes to remove any matter from the state list, you all know that being political science student, there are provision of 3 lists: Union list, state list, concurrent list. So if Union Parliament wishes to remove any particular subject from the state list to either the Union list or concurrent list in the interest of the nation, the approval of the Rajya Sabha is necessary. So if the government tries to introduce new subject to the state list or like remove any state list subject, it must be approved by the Rajya Sabha. So this is the power of the Rajya Sabha, that any specific matters related to the subjects states must be passed by the Rajya Sabha. This provision adds the strength of the Rajya Sabha. However, experience shows that the members of the Rajya Sabha represent their parties more than they represent their states. This is also very interesting that we have that party system here, political parties contest election. So the members of the Rajya Sabha, obviously they belong to any state. They are just elected from the state in the Rajya Sabha, but they represent their political parties much more comparable to representing the states. What the political parties say, according to that, the representatives work in a realistic way in democracy. But we need to understand the Constitution has given this power that the approval of Rajya Sabha is necessary if there is any amendment which affects the state list or any state matter. So approval of Rajya Sabha is compulsory. Now, powers exercised only by the Lok Sabha. Then there are powers that only the Lok Sabha exercises. The Rajya Sabha cannot initiate, reject, or amend money bills. Now, the powers of the Rajya Sabha, special power of the Lok Sabha. We have already discussed the Rajya Sabha power special. The special power of Lok Sabha also is there. Money bill, that is like budget. It is initiated by only Lok Sabha, not by Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha cannot initiate or cannot introduce the money bill. Rajya Sabha can only discuss the money bill for only 14 days. So this is very interesting that money related power is in the hands of the Lok Sabha only. So the Council of Ministers is responsible to the Lok Sabha and not Rajya Sabha. This is also another special power to the Lok Sabha, that the Council of the Ministers must have majority in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. Therefore, Rajya Sabha can criticize the government but cannot remove it. So the no confidence motion is brought only in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. So government may or may not have majority in Rajya Sabha, but it must have majority in Lok Sabha. Then and only then a particular government can remain in the government. Otherwise, they'll have to resign. So that is very interesting, very special power of the Lok Sabha, because the Lok Sabha members are directly elected. Therefore, Rajya Sabha can criticize the government but cannot remove it. The removal can be done by only Lok Sabha, not by the Rajya Sabha, by no confidence motion. Now, can you explain why this special power is given to Lok Sabha, not the Rajya Sabha? Because the Rajya Sabha is elected by the MLAs and not directly by the people. But in Lok Sabha, the members of the Lok Sabha is directly elected by the people. So this special power is given to the Lok Sabha only. That government must or should have majority in the Lok Sabha only, not in Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, they may have or may not have majority. Therefore, the constitution stopped short of giving certain powers to the Rajya Sabha. In a democratic form, as adopted by our constitution, the people are the final authority. By this logic, the representatives directly elected by the people should have the crucial powers of removing a government and controlling the finance. Because directly people elect whom? The member of the Lok Sabha, not the member of the Rajya Sabha. So therefore, the Lok Sabha has much more power. So if the question is asked that why Lok Sabha has much more power, you all are like able to give the answer that because Lok Sabha members are directly elected, and being a representative democracy, the representatives who are directly elected, they must be given much power. So therefore, Lok Sabha has much power in removing the government, controlling the executive, controlling the finances. In all other spheres, including passing of non-money bills, constitutional amendment, and impeaching the president, removing the president, the powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are co-equal. In other affairs like normal general bills, they are passed by both the houses, by Lok Sabha also and by Rajya Sabha also. Constitutional amendment also. The removal of the president and vice president, that is also done by both the houses. Impeachment motion, that is brought by both the houses. So in other spheres, the powers are co-equal. But in these spheres, which we already discussed here, there is a special power given to the Lok Sabha, not to the Rajya Sabha. But Rajya Sabha has also special powers, the matters related to the states. Now, the next topic is how does the parliament make laws? अब दूसरा क्वेश्चन और दूसरा टॉपिक है हमारा कि पार्लियामेंट कानून कैसे बनाती है. See, very simple. First of all, parliament has it is the law making body. To become law or to become an act, a draft of the law or an act is prepared first, and that draft is known as bill. उस draft को आप क्या कहते हो? Bill कहते हो. Here you can see a flow chart of how the bill is made, and through this flow chart we can understand how the bill or how the act is made, how the bill is passed. So first of all, the first process is people's inputs. लोगों की इनपुट, लोगों की नीड है, प्रॉब्लम्स अगर लोग फेस कर रहे हैं, उनको सॉल्व करने के लिए, सोसाइटी में इक्वालिटी लाने के लिए लोगों के इनपुट के बेसिस पे क्या होता है? कमिटीज. देखो जैसे यहाँ पे सबसे पहले बिल जो ड्राफ्ट है किसी लॉ का, किसी एक्ट का, उसको इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाता है कहाँ पे? ईदर ऑफ द हाउस. ईदर इट कैन बी इन लोक सभा और राज्य सभा. इन केस ऑफ नॉन मनी बिल, क्योंकि नॉन मनी बिल कहाँ पे इंट्रोड्यूस होगा? इट इज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड ओनली इन लोक सभा, नॉट इन राज्य सभा. बाकी नॉन मनी बिल कहाँ पे इंट्रोड्यूस हो सकते हैं? दोनों हाउसेस में, किसी भी हाउसेस में. तो बिल इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाता है. देन आफ्टर दैट बिल इज सेंट टू द कमिटीज. देयर आर वेरियस कमिटीज इन द पार्लियामेंट, जॉइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमिटी, स्टैंडिंग कमिटी, है ना, parliamentary affair committee, public account committee. Different committees are there and they have their separate works. So the bill is sent to the committees. Now who are the members of these committees? Like the members of the parliament of either like Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, दोनों की combined committee हो सकती है, joint parliamentary committee होती है. Separate Lok Sabha की committee हो सकती है, Rajya Sabha की committee हो सकती है. So first when bill is introduced, then it goes to the committees. Committees like discuss it, जिसमें सभी मेंबर होते हैं, opposition party के मेंबर भी होते हैं, ruling party के मेंबर भी होते हैं. तो कमेटी के अंदर अच्छा डिस्कशन हो जाता है ना, थोरो डिस्कशन. Then committee gives its report. Then ultimately it again goes to the house. House may accept or may not accept the report. Detailed discussion of the bill takes place in the house. Bill is either accepted or rejected. Now, if bill is accepted, then it is sent to the other house. Then other house also it approves or gives recommendation, or it is sent to the joint session of joint committee of the parliament. Then joint committee also can recommend something. Either house can accept it or not accept it. So after that, the house approves or gives recommendations. If it does not approve, then there is a provision of joint session also. of the parliament where a bill can be passed. Joint session का सिंपल सा मतलब है जब लोकसभा और राज्यसभा दोनों के मेंबर एक साथ बैठ के बिल को पास करते हैं। और ये कब होता है? जब मानो लोकसभा से पास हो गया, राज्यसभा से पास नहीं हो पा रहा in different conditions due to some political issues or due to some other issues, then joint session can be called, and with joint session में उस बिल को पास किया जाता है और फिर अल्टीमेटली वो कहाँ जाता है? Then it goes to the president. या तो जॉइंट सेशन की जरूरत होगी या हाउस उसको पास कर देगा तो भी वो प्रेसिडेंट के पास में जाएगा. Then when president approves, then it becomes law. तब वो लॉ बन जाता है. या प्रेसिडेंट दोबारा रिकंसिडरेशन के लिए भेज सकता है एक बार, only once. President can send that bill for reconsideration to the house. When it again comes, the president cannot send the same bill for reconsideration. It can hold that bill. That power is known as the pocket veto, however. But when president gives or approves the SN, approves the bill, it becomes law. It becomes an act. So this is the process of making law. ये process होती है law बनाने की, कानून बनाने की, act बनाने की. Okay. So understand this flow chart thoroughly. Very interesting flow chart given to you. Now, अब अगला क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि सर ये जो बिल हमने बात की थी, मनी बिल, नॉन मनी बिल, तो कितने टाइप के बिल होते हैं? तो देखो, टाइप्स ऑफ बिल्स. दिस इज द फ्लो चार्ट ऑफ टाइप्स ऑफ बिल्स. नाउ इन आवर कंट्री, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, बिल्स जो है, बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट हैज द मेजॉरिटी, गवर्नमेंट के पास मेजॉरिटी होती है, तो जो गवर्नमेंट जो बिल लेके आती है, द बिल्स व्हिच आर लाइक ब्रॉट बाय द गवर्नमेंट, chances are very high that obviously the bill will be passed because the government has the majority. और पार्लियामेंट के अंदर जो मिनिस्टर्स वगैरह होते हैं वो इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं बिल गवर्नमेंट के बिहाफ पे. टाइप्स ऑफ बिल में सबसे पहले हम टाइप देख रहे हैं, एक होते हैं गवर्नमेंटल बिल एंड देन सेकंड प्राइवेट मेंबर्स बिल. नाउ ईच मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट आल्सो like has right, they can also bring their like individual bill related to any topic, and that bill is known as private members bill. प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल होता है, लेकिन उसके पास होने की जो पॉसिबिलिटी बहुत लेस होती है, बिकॉज प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल में मेजॉरिटी नहीं होती है ना, तो इसलिए वो पास नहीं हो पाता. तो टाइप्स ऑफ बिल में कितने देखे हमने? गवर्नमेंटल और प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल. तो दो टाइप के बिल लाइक कैन बी इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. फर्दर द बिल कैन बी नॉन मनी बिल और मनी बिल. बिल कैसे हो सकते हैं? नॉन मनी बिल हो सकता है और मनी बिल हो सकता है. मनी बिल लाइक एग्जांपल बजट. तो बिल, बजट भी पास करवाना होता है जैसे बिल को पास करवाते हैं उसी तरीके से. नॉन मनी बिल में ऑर्डिनरी बिल एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट बिल. ऑर्डिनरी बिल वो होते हैं जो जनरल लॉ या एक्ट बनाने के लिए, और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट बिल, द बिल व्हिच इज ब्रॉट टू चेंज इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, दोस आर नोन एज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट बिल. सो वेरी सिंपल, दिस इज द फ्लो चार्ट ऑफ टाइप्स ऑफ बिल्स. ओके, सो अगेन इन टाइप्स ऑफ बिल्स देयर आर two methods or two types how the bill can be introduced, with the government bill and the private member bill. Then the bill is of further two types, money bill, non-money bill. And non-money bill is also further two types, ordinary bill or constitutional amendment bill. This is the flow charts of types of bills. Now everyone, how does parliament control the executive? That is our next topic. Parliament executive को कैसे control करती है? So how does the parliament control the executive? There are various methods, there are various instruments by which parliament controls the executive. And which are those? Those are very simple. That first of all, you know, an executive, political executive, if we talk about like government must have majority in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. If it does not have, then it cannot remain as the government. The prime minister has to resign. Simple. So therefore, they are accountable to the parliament. Executive is accountable towards the parliament. In parliament, various questions are asked by the ministers, by the prime minister, and they'll have to respond. उनको respond करना होगा through various means like no conference motion, like different methods, any resolution, any motion. The control is done by the parliament on the executive. Now these are the instruments of parliamentary control, which deliberation and discussion, approval or refusal of laws, financial control, and no confidence motion. These are the instruments by which parliament control on the executive. इन instruments के basis पे, इन medium से parliament क्या करती है? Control करती है किसको? Executive को. जैसे first deliberation and discussion. You know, in parliament, detailed discussion happens on the policy related issues. Question hour, 0 hour, in 0 hour, you know, like public related issues, public related matters are raised. So 0 hour is where members are free to raise any matter that they think is important. However, ministers are not bound to reply, but members can raise the issues instantly if they think that an issue is related to the public importance. Half an hour discussion on matters of public importance, that also happens. Adjournment motion. Now, what is adjournment motion? It is brought, it can be brought by any member of the parliament if like they think that the usual business proceedings must be stopped and a particular issue must be discussed in the parliament. Thorough discussion must happen in the parliament. So that can be done. Now, so deliberated discussion happens through question session, through 0 hour. Parliament controls the executive, and the executive has to reply. Okay. Now, approval and ratification of the laws. Now, what do you mean by this? Approval and ratification of the laws? Simple. Parliamentary control is also exercised through its power of ratification. Like a bill can become law only with the approval of the parliament. Otherwise, a bill cannot become law if it cannot be passed by the parliament. So, if a law has to be made, an act has to be made, it must be passed by the parliament. Otherwise, law or an act cannot be made. So it's very simple. Approval and ratification of the law is important, and it is the another instrument by which parliament controls the executive. Now, financial control, that's we already discussed in terms of money bill, like budget. Without the approval of parliament, government cannot spend even a single rupee. This is the power of the parliament. So through the financial control, the budget has to be passed by the parliament. If it has not been passed by the parliament, government is unable to, because it simply means that government does not have the majority, and then government cannot remain the government. So financial control is also happens, and it is another instrument by which parliament controls the executive. Okay. Now next, no confidence motion. This no confidence motion is very simple. It is brought by the opposition party when the government does not have the majority in the Lok Sabha. The no confidence motion can be brought by the opposition party in the Lok Sabha. And when no confidence motion is passed, it simply means that the Lok Sabha does not have confidence in the government. And it means that in the Lok Sabha, the government does not have the majority. So it cannot remain in the government. The Prime Minister has to resign. Simple. So no confidence motion is brought in the parliament. And this is the another method, another instrument by which parliament controls the executive. These are some important methods, instrument by which there is a control of the parliament on the executive. These are the instruments. Again, deliberation, discussion, approval or refusal of laws, financial control, and no confidence motion. Now, everyone, next topic, that's what we're going to discuss in our next class. All of